I woke up to the sound of my house screaming. That's the only way I can describe it, the alarm system blaring so loud it rattled my teeth. My son Leo standing at the panel with his fingers flying across the buttons, and in the dim porch light a shape wriggling halfway through my living room window. For a second I thought it was a burglar, some drunk stranger maybe. But then I saw the blonde hair the gaudy cardigan snagged on the frame, and I realized it was Karen. HOA Vice President, neighborhood tyrant, self-appointed queen of Maplewood. And there she was, stuck in my damn window like a raccoon in a trap. She actually had the audacity to yell over the siren. This is an HOA inspection, like breaking and entering at midnight, was standard HOA procedure. Leo, bless him, clicked on the flashlight and shined it straight into her face. She shrieked, flailed harder, tried to kick free while screaming about violations. And me, I started laughing, half hysterical, half disbelieving. Because after months of her petty fines, my grass too long, my mailbox, not regulation, my kid's drone, too disruptive. This was the moment Karen crossed the line from annoying to insane. And somehow, this ridiculous scene was about to kick off the ugliest war my family had ever been dragged into. By the time the cops rolled up, the whole street was awake. Neighbors peeking from their blinds, some even filming. Karen ripped her sweater free, tumbled onto my lawn, and tried to spin it, all claimed she was on official HOA duty, claimed I was obstructing her. She even demanded the officers arrest me. The cops didn't buy it, thank God, but they didn't cuff her either. Just told me to keep the system armed because people like her don't take a hint. And they were right. The very next morning, 3 notices were taped to my door. One fined me for unauthorized alarm disturbance. Another accused me of harboring an aggressive minor, a jab at Leo, I guess. And the last one was a formal summons to an emergency HOA board meeting that night. Karen had gone from crawling through my window to drafting legal-style papers at 3 a.m, all to bury me under her authority. Walking into that clubhouse felt like stepping onto a stage. Every chair filled neighbors, whispering phones, ready to record. Karen sat up front behind a folding table like a monarch on a throne, eyes glittering with triumph. She slammed papers on the desk and declared, "This household is a danger to our community." She listed off violations. My alarm system. Leo, threatening to lock her in surveillance equipment that endangered everyone. Leo didn't hold back. He said it flat for the entire room to hear. "You crawled through our window." The laughter that broke out nearly drowned Karen's shriek. She snapped that the footage was fake, that we fabricated everything. So I stood, walked to the projector, and played the raw video feed. There she was, stuck and flailing, screaming violations as my alarm blared. The room erupted, gasps, giggles, disbelief. But Karen was never the type to back down. Her face blotchy red, she pulled out her trump card, a fat legal envelope. "Fine," she snapped. "If the board won't act, I already have. I filed a lawsuit for harassment, obstruction, and emotional distress, and if you don't stand with me, I'll sue the HOA as well for dereliction of duty." The mood shifted instantly. Neighbors who were laughing a second ago went quiet, realizing her threats meant money, their money. HOA lawsuits drag everyone in. Suddenly, I was the villain again, the reason they might get dragged into court. Walking home that night, I felt crushed. Like maybe she was right, maybe I had made things worse by standing up to her. For a moment, I actually thought about selling the house, moving away just to end it. My kid deserved peace, not this circus. But then my phone buzzed. It was Eleanor, my 80-year-old neighbor who never missed a thing from her knitting perch by the window. Her voice came sharp and certain. "Don't you dare quit. She's bluffing, and she's rotten. Fight harder." Not an hour later, another twist landed, an anonymous email with scanned HOA communications. Leaked. Inside were lines that froze my blood. Karen and 2 board members explicitly plotting force him into foreclosure. Bankrupt him with fees until he sells. Use his kid's drone as evidence. They weren't just targeting me. They were planning to ruin my life. And suddenly, the hopelessness burned off like fog. She wanted a war fine. I'd fight. With receipts. The days after turned my front yard into a circus. orange condemnation flags planted across my lawn, fake paperwork claiming my house was unsafe. Karen paraded across the street shouting to gathered neighbors about structural dangers and fire hazards. I yanked one of the flags out of the ground, dialed the county inspector on speakerphone, and let him laugh loud enough for everyone to hear, "That's fraud. Whoever's behind it will face charges." The crowd turned on her, murmuring, snapping photos. She screeched about conspiracies, but the cracks in her empire had started showing. And still, she escalated. A tow truck arrived with fake orders to seize my car. Flyers stuffed into mailboxes claimed I was a menace, even accused me of harboring wildlife because a stray goat wandered onto my yard once. But while Karen grew more desperate, the neighborhood grew less convinced. Eleanor marched around with the leaked emails showing anyone who'd listen. Leo compiled everything into a presentation video, clips fraudulent flags towing paperwork the emails. My dining table turned into a war room, evidence piled like ammo. The night of the big vote came. The clubhouse was packed tighter than ever. Karen strutted in with her lawyer blazer bright enough to blind. She launched into a speech about community safety, waving petitions signed by neighbors she'd scared into compliance. I stood before she could finish and plugged my flash drive into the projector. Clip after clip rolled. Karen wriggling through my window. The tow truck driver admitting the order came from a concerned resident. The inspector on speakerphone calling the flags fraud. And finally, the leaked emails projected larger-than-life force him into foreclosure. Bankrupt him. The room exploded. Karen lunged for the mic, shrieking, "Fake hacked," but even her loyalists looked uneasy. One board member barked, "Karen, did you really write this?" For the first time, she faltered, eyes darting like a trapped animal. And then, in the most brazen move yet, she screamed, "He hacked my email. He's the criminal." The chaos that followed was deafening. Neighbors shouting over each other demands for resignations, accusations flying. Gerald, the board president, tried to restore order until a new voice cut through. From the back of the room, a tall man in a suit held up a badge. "County Sheriff's Office," he announced. "We've received multiple complaints of harassment, trespassing, and fraud." After reviewing this evidence, he nodded at the screen. "We're placing Miss Karen Blackwell under arrest." The room erupted, some cheering, some gasping in shock as deputies cuffed her right there. She thrashed, screamed about conspiracies, swore vengeance. Her lawyer stumbled after her, pale and sweating. Eleanor whooped so loud it rattled the windows. Leo grinned ear to ear, and I just stood there, heart pounding, watching the tyrant of our neighborhood dragged out in disgrace. That was the moment I realized Karen had destroyed herself. Her obsession with control had twisted her so far she'd forgotten the simplest truth: when you push people long enough, eventually they push back. And that's the lesson I'll leave you with. Bullies burn themselves out, but only if you stand your ground long enough to watch them fall.